So the Make a Difference Leadership Foundation, which was founded by South African rugby star Francois Pienaar, will once again take to the road next month for the annual fundraising event. Organisers are also aiming to raise 2 million rand this time, and that's to fund the education needs of underprivileged children identified as future leaders. So far, there have been more than 300 beneficiaries, we're told, from all over South Africa, with plans to try and include more. Let's get your details now. Bring in Dayle, Raaf, who is the Managing Director of the Make a Difference to Adventures course, joining us now via our video link for more on their plans for the year ahead. Dayle, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for chatting to us. So my understanding, this is the 8th time running. Safe to say you're mad, but for a good cause.
Yes, it definitely is a mad event in terms of that you have to be a little bit mulled to run right across the country. But MAD is actually an acronym for Make a Difference. And that really is what we're trying to do. We are trying to make a difference in the lives of kids who are ultimately go on to be the future leaders of South Africa and make their own difference in our country.
All right, we'll speak a bit more about that work. Let's perhaps hone in on the fundraising event itself. The plan is to get from Johannesburg to Cape Town, either cycling or essentially running. I don't imagine you take part in the full journey. Please say no.
No, so we've actually got two teams. So when we actually started this in 2014, we just started with Mad to Run. So we were just a group of friends who wanted to find a way to make our own difference with as little resources as we had at the time. So we decided to run across the country and create a platform for fundraising. And it kind of snowballed from there. And a few years later, we decided to include a ride as well. So now we've got Mad to Run and Mad to Ride, which is essentially the same journey from Joburg to Cape Town across the same. We go through 4 provinces, and it's about 1,550 kilometers on average. But there's some fundamental differences between the two events. So Mad to Run has a team of runners who run in a 24-hour relay to be able to cover the distance in 1 week. And then with Mad to Ride, we have a team of riders who ride in a peloton the full distance as one group. And they actually ride on 2 bikes as well. It's both a mountain bike and a road bike event.
It doesn't sound like the thing anyone can do, at least personally speak for myself. I mean, what kind of, call it prerequisites are there for people who want to take part in this activity?
Yeah, not anyone can take part. So the way that we actually do it is we have a new team of runners and riders every single year because we take on people for almost a year who you need to train, you need to do the fundraising to actually get to a point to be able to run or ride across the country. You can't just pick up. But what is quite amazing is to actually see some people who are relatively average runners or riders, use the time and take the inspiration of the Mad Leadership Foundation and really build up to being able to take part. In terms of Mad to Run, we've had somebody who'd never run before at all enter. They managed to put in 200 training runs, and they were able to run, as part of the team from Joburg to Cape Town. Similarly, on the ride side, we had somebody 2 years ago who only been riding for 4 months. Who train. So I think with the right motivation, anyone can do it.
Absolutely. And it's also, I guess it helps that you're trying to keep fit while also doing it for a good cause. Let's speak about the good cause a bit more. It goes without saying that we live in a country where a whole lot of people can still stand to benefit from having someone invest in their education, given the massive inequality that still exists in South Africa.
That's exactly right. So the Mad Leadership Foundation, so we are a separate NPO. Our main objective is to raise funds so the Mad Leadership Foundation can continue to do all the good work that they're doing. So they started in 2003 with 2 scholars. Just unbelievable kids who just needed the opportunity to step out and, be able to make a difference in their own life, which ultimately makes a difference in their community. And since 2003, they've had hundreds of scholars go through their program. They've currently got 311 kids from grade 8 all the way up to the end of tertiary education.
Wow, that's phenomenal. How do you go about selecting your candidates?
So it's quite a rigorous process. They sit with probably an average of 600 applications per year, and depending on how much money they actually have will determine how many scholars they can take onto the program, which is where we see ourselves and the other South Africans kind of fitting in and that's where our pledges and our donations actually come in. So the more money that they have, the more scholars they're able to take onto their program. And so they've got some basic selection criteria in terms of a household income and an academic average that needs to be maintained. And then from there, they have an in-house psychometrist who does testing. The kids have to do interviews to take on. So let's say 600 kids apply, they might only have space to take on 40. So it really is a tough process to find kids who are not, and it's not necessarily about finding the smartest kid, but it's also kids who excel in all aspects of life, sports and drama, and kids are just going to be future leaders. They really are trying to find that sort of leadership X factor in the kids that they take on.
Yeah, and to get someone there, for them to, I guess, realize their potential, I imagine the program needs to be somewhat holistic. I mean, getting people into certain schools is part of that process. What else can you tell us about what the program actually entails?
Yes, and that is what the difference is with the Mad Leadership Foundations. They're a comprehensive education trust. So unlike similar bursaries or academically focused schemes where they're just paying for the education, the Mad Leadership Foundation actually takes care of accommodation, food, data. The kids even receive a stipend just to have some spending money. And so it really is about understanding the social economic environment of the child as well, which really is what determines that success.
Yeah, you speak of socioeconomics. I mentioned earlier that this is the 8th time running, and I imagine among the many challenges this time around is that we are in quite a challenging socioeconomic environment. What does that mean, I guess, about how you plan to carry out the fundraising this year?
Yeah, so COVID has not been great for sports and fundraising events. So over the past 2 years, we had to get a little bit creative. So in fact, our run event from last year was postponed because we were in level 5 lockdown at the time that we were supposed to run. And so what we actually ended up doing was we had our team running like in their houses, in their passages, in their garages, being able to actually complete what we had committed to doing, which was running that 1,500 kilometers from Joburg to Cape Town. So all the little Strava route maps look very interesting. But it really is for us about being very committed to taking part. So like I say, we got creative, we got flexible, and we've been able to find opportunities within level 2 regulations to actually still be able to host our events. And I think what really plays in our favor, and we saw it last year where we didn't know how much money we were going to raise, but it really was important for us to be role models and to demonstrate for the scholars that once you've committed to something, even though it's hard and it's uncomfortable, you need to push through. And we still ended up raising 1.2 million rand for the Mad Leadership Foundation last year when things were tough. And so what I think we are going to look at happening again for us in October when we host our next Mad to Ride and Mad to Run is that people really back people backing people. So we have these scholars that we really genuinely care for and want to show them how much we are invested in them. So we are, we ensure that our events are going to happen and every cent counts. So one of the main ways that we raise funds is through pledges. So it is each runner and each rider getting a number, like almost ending up with a rand value per kilometer that they're going to be traveling. And so people are invested in other people who are going to step out of their comfort zones, do something difficult. And so I really believe we will still be able to hit our target and raise that 2 million rand, because it comes through in 50 rand, 100 rand, 500 rand, and it's the collective that really I think is what inspires us to keep going.
Without a doubt. I wouldn't be forgiven with the seconds we have left if I don't ask how can people get involved, not only as those who are part of the Mad Adventures, dare I say, but those who also just want to make pledges.
Yes, so for us, if you could go to our website, which is www.mad2adventures.com, you'll actually be able to find all the team members, runners and riders, and you're able to pledge an amount per kilometer that they're going to run or ride, or just make a once-off donation. And just to please know that any amount actually does make a difference.
The aim is to get to 2 million. Dayle, great to chat to you. Thanks very much indeed for helping understand a bit more about the work that you do. All of this to try and help underprivileged, or rather learners from underprivileged backgrounds, to get a shot, if you like, at a good education. all of this with the intention of building future leaders. That is Dayle Raaf. She is the Managing Director of the Make a Difference to Adventures course. Once again, Dayle, thanks very much indeed.